Okay, so one of the last widgets that we worked on during the initial launch of Equinox last year was the camera widget. And it didn't get as long as a burn-in period as some of the other widgets. And there are some overall improvements that we want to make with the camera widget. Not just partner support, but also video formats, working towards on-VIF compatibility, and then utilization of the cameras inside of Design Center in the widgets, where we are able to map the partners in DC and in the widgets so that you know or you don't have to worry so much about the paths to grab the JPEG or the MJPEG or the H.264 formats. So it's a lot easier for you to work with those cameras. And we are working on that right now. Some of the other things that you'll see, not just from a functionality perspective or a camera partner support perspective, is that we also plan on adding some features to the camera widget itself that we know we needed for initially, but we weren't able to get to. And one of those is, for example, pan, tilt, zoom support for cameras that support it, as well as a quad view. Instead of an individual camera view, you'll be able to look at multiples on a screen at once. And then if you're familiar with the ribbon in Equinox, where you can do a quick jump to different, say, lighting areas, different thermostats. We also have a ribbon for cameras. We will be placing thumbnails with previews of the camera image on the ribbon as well as the tray slide out that I just mentioned will be available on cameras. That will be really come in handy for those who need a gate release command or a door release command based on whoever may be at the camera that you're looking at. Just slide out the tray and release the gate. And we'll go through extensive partner validation and testing with these different partner manufacturers that we work with, such as Axis, Panasonic, Sony, and IC Realtime, and others. So that will be the camera widget refresh. There'll be a lot of work that you'll see, a lot of changes in Design Center inside of the widgets for that coming by the end of the year. One of the other areas that we really want to work on and focus on is the audio and video widgets. Now, in this particular case, not only will we take advantage of the tray slide out in audio and video, and in that case, the benefit will be, substantial, where you can slide down the tray and start intermission or start the movie, do some quick scenes while you're inside of the video widget or audio widget. But we'll also be adding the status thumbnails to the ribbons. And one of the major things that we'll be working on will be supporting the zone into zones capability, where you take a distributed video zone and perhaps feed it into a surround receiver. And that surround receiver is also utilizing other inputs such as local Blu-ray or local game consoles, as well as a distributed video zone out from, say, like an Atlona or a Leaf. And right now you can do that, but only through some additional programming. We will be able to take advantage and flatten that for you inside of the widgets coming up by the end of the year. Something that we really wanted to do initially, but weren't able to get to. I think one of the other great things that I know I want to take advantage of is what we call soft zone linking. And soft zone linking will allow you to combine the source selection and volume and power controls for different audio zones that may be, right now, they're in close proximity to each other, say a kitchen and a dining room or some common areas. Right now it's very discrete, and we want to give you and the users the ability to link some zones through the UI, and that can be temporarily, and it can be disabled or re-enabled, and link those, not just sync, which is what you do today, and we do that very well. You can sync zones, but you have to do that. We want to set up a more, call it permanent or semi-permanent soft zone linking for you guys. So those are some of the great things we'll be working on with audio video, as well as adding additional partner support that we'll be talking about in a minute. One of the new widgets that we'll be working on, and this is just a mock-up, don't go right away selling this to your customers, is the energy widget. And with the energy widget coming at the end of the year, you're going to have the capability of viewing real-time energy and executing strategies to save energy for lighting or HVAC. Plus, we'll have breakouts on usage by the lighting system or by area or by floor. We'll also see energy consumption from the HVAC system. And then we're working with some of our partners at Middle Atlantic and with Panamax Blue Bolt to also take a look at rack consumption and display that as well. So you'll see that coming out towards the end of the year, and it will make the 13th widget available to the overall Equinox environment. Now, all of these things have to be tied together through Design Center. And I've mentioned this a couple of times because I want you guys to know that in the Design Center arena is the glue that brings together drivers, objects, task programming, of course all of the interfaces, brings all of that together and of course sends it down to the controller. One of the things that we'll be adding is what we call the Equinox view, where you can, before you send the file down to the controller, see what widgets will show up, not necessarily in graphical form, but you'll see what drivers are visible, what drivers are used, what zones and sources, what loads, etc. And then you'll also see any kind of issues that may arise or incompatibilities with drivers and Premier partners or the way you've set up the project inside of Equinox View. So it'll be a lot like area view or enclosure view, but instead you're going to be looking at apps and 7.3s and 4.1s, and it will tree structure allow you to see what widgets will be there and notes and information about what's going to be available. We're also working on a brand new view called Rack View, where you will be able to build the rack and map the audio and video zones and sources together to help build the audio and video widgets. Where today, of course, you're able to do that inside of the tree structure for amplifiers and surround receivers and TVs and projectors. But you have to go through several steps to do that, and we know that's not ideal. So we'll be building the rack view for you to take a look at that. And then you can see in the list here a lot of other features with regards to driver replacement, and then a ton of reports on 7.3 and widgets and drivers and the UI. So those reports will be available. Some of those, like the 4.0 report, will be available, and driver report will be available this summer. Others will be available at the end of the year, such as the widgets and 7.3 and 4.1 reports, giving you full details and information about the widgets and the devices and apps being used.